tangles in the bottom of his tail. So I'm just going to saturate them and rub through with the Artero Matt-X. A little spritz here. And then a little spritz here. And then I'm going to use my force dryer and dry him up and let the air force push these apart a little bit. And then I will come back with my Poochs Mat Zapper and pick them out. So now he's been all fluffed out, dried, but we still have these tangles to deal with. So I did what I could to force them away from the skin with the HV dryer. And see, it helped a little bit. And the goal here is not just to remove the mats without annoying the dog too much. The goal is to try to cause as little damage as possible to the hair, so that in the future it's not going to mat as badly. So this is my Pooch brush, and I'm just separating the hair so I can see where the tangle is, and try to avoid brushing a lot of hair that's not tangled. And then you just go in and kind of tap and pick. And it's already separating out. You can see all this hair. It's pulling away from the tangle. And I'm supporting it in back by my fingers. And you can feel when you're brushing the resistance. And it should just be as slight as possible. If these mats weren't so bad, I would work on them with a pin brush to start with. And if that wasn't enough, then I would go to a slicker, because the pin brush is going to do the least possible amount of damage in terms of breaking the hair and damaging the hair cuticle. So what you want is hair that's uniform length, where the cuticle of the hair, that's the outer covering, is nice and smooth. What happens when you do heavy dematting is you break the hair and you end up with a lot of little hairs. And you damage the cuticle, you kind of scrape it up. And if you look at it under the microscope, they start to look kind of Velcro-y. And when you have a combination of short hairs and long hairs and beat up cuticles that look like Velcro, you end up with a tail that mats up very quickly. The first time he came in, he already had this matting problem going. He's on a 4-week schedule. So what we're doing is just trying to be as nice and gentle and kind with his hair as we can, and keep his tail relatively short until all of the broken, beat up hair grows out, and then he can grow a healthy, full tail. But until then, we're not going to let it get too long. It's a little bit long, but it's shorter than I would like it to be. So you can tell how much damage you're doing by how much hair is on your brush, basically. And, you know, for the level of matting, this is pretty good. I think we are almost through the worst of it. And he's not fussing. He's not upset about any of this. He's not a huge fan of grooming in general, but this isn't painful for him. He kind of just gets bored. But once you get through that, this is a Chris Christensen AVICM coral brush. I'm just trying to be real gentle. Just picking gently. This is my pin brush that I like to use. This is an Artero brush. Because it's that way. Nope. And like I said before, the Artero's gonna, or the pin brush is gonna be the most gentle way to kind of tease out tangles. Oh, so nice. I know. You're white. And then next step is Greyhound comb to catch the straggly parts. And this is, your comb is actually going to pull out the most hair. So get as much as you can with the gentle brushes before you use your comb. The other thing that helps protect the hair is spraying that conditioner on. So the Artero Matt-X, I imagine it works by helping to seal up that cuticle, making everything kind of slippery so that it likes to come apart easily, the mats that is. But it's going to seal, conditioners are going to seal the hair shaft, smooth it out, and that's going to protect you from breakage. So if you're working on a mat or a tangle, you never want to work on it just dry and untreated. You also want to try to avoid, if at all possible, working on it when the coat's dirty. Because if there's dirt, those little particles of grit are like sandpaper, and as you comb or brush or do whatever you're doing, you're just dragging that hard material across the surface of the hair, and that's going to do a lot of damage. So we're working on a nice clean coat, a conditioned coat, a protected coat. And over time, as this tail hair grows out, we're going to be cutting off the damaged parts. It's going to get more uniform in length, and it's going to be a lot less prone to getting tangled up in the future. So there's that. Looks much better. And all this fuzzy frizziness, that's damage. He's got a lot of weird soft coat and mixed with these dark coarse hairs because he's a Shih Tzu bichon mix. But you can tell there's a distinct difference between healthy hair and damaged hair. It's just, you know, like your hair, when you get split ends, it changes color, changes texture. And that's the hair that causes all the knots. especially for a dog on a 4-week schedule. 4 weeks should be a short enough time that you're not really getting those sorts of knots. This is my Utsumi comb, little greyhound version. It's a finishing comb. You don't want to use it to actually pull anything. I'm using it here to just check, make sure I'm not catching anything. And the reason you don't use it for detangling is because, you know, these tines are very fine and they will bend easily. So you don't want to comb through a coat that's going to offer any sort of resistance. But it is fabulous for checking for little tiny pin tangles and for making the coat nice and fluffed and light and separating all the hairs. But alright, that's my demo. Beautiful tail, ready to go.